Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English, the podcast where we talk about real life in simple, natural English. I'm your host, Emma, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. If you're studying for IELTS, this episode is going to be really useful for you. Today, we're talking about something we all have, but rarely think about, our personality. And to help me, I've invited a wonderful guest. Jake, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Emma. I'm really happy to be here. You know, when you told me the topic was personality, I thought, wow, that's a big one. We all have a personality, but most of the time we don't stop and think about it. We just live, right? So this is a nice chance for me to actually reflect on who I am, how I behave, and why I do the things I do. I think it'll be fun and hopefully helpful for the listeners too.
That's a great way to start. So let's begin with the basics. When someone asks you, what kind of person are you? How do you usually answer that question?
Well, that's a tricky one, honestly. I think most people freeze a little when they hear it. For me, I'd say I'm a calm and friendly person. I like meeting people, but I also need my quiet time. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think anyone is just one thing. We change depending on the situation. At work, I might be serious and focused, but with my close friends, I'm relaxed and a bit silly, to be honest.
That's interesting. You mentioned being somewhere in the middle. A lot of people talk about being an introvert or an extrovert. Which one are you?
Let me think. I'd say I'm more of an introvert, but not a shy one. There's a difference, you know? A shy person feels nervous around people. I'm not nervous. I enjoy talking. But after a big party or a long social day, I feel tired and I need to recharge alone. An extrovert gets energy from people. I get energy from quiet time. For example, after a busy weekend with friends, I love spending Sunday evening alone with a book and a cup of tea.
Oh, I love that example. So for you, being alone is not lonely, it's relaxing.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. Being alone and feeling lonely are two completely different things. When I'm alone by choice, I feel calm and free. I can think clearly. I can plan my week. I can just breathe. Loneliness is when you want company, but you don't have it. That feels heavy. So I always tell my friends, don't worry if I disappear for a day. I'm just recharging my battery. They understand me now, which is really nice.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about strengths. What do you think is your biggest strength as a person?
Good question. I think my biggest strength is patience. I don't get angry or frustrated quickly. When something goes wrong, I try to stay calm and find a solution instead of complaining. For example, at my job, sometimes a project fails or a customer is angry. My coworkers get stressed, but I try to slow down and think, okay, what can we actually do now? Staying calm helps me solve problems better, and it also helps the people around me feel calmer too.
Patience is such a valuable trait. Can you remember a specific time when your patience really helped you?
Yes, definitely. A few years ago, I was teaching my younger brother how to drive. Oh my goodness, that was a real test. He was so nervous, he kept making mistakes, and he almost gave up many times. If I had shouted at him, he would have felt worse. So I stayed patient. Every time he made a mistake, I said, it's okay, try again. After a few weeks, he passed his driving test. He told me, I passed because you never got angry with me. That made me really proud.
Oh, that's a lovely story. It shows how patience can affect someone else's life, not just your own.
Absolutely. And that's something I've learned over the years. Our personality doesn't only affect us, it affects everyone around us. If I'm calm, the people near me often become calmer too. If I'm stressed and shouting, the whole room feels tense. It's like emotions are contagious, you know, like catching a cold. So I always try to bring good energy into a room. I'm not perfect, of course, but I really try because I know my mood touches other people.
That's a beautiful point. But let's be honest now. Nobody is perfect. What would you say is your biggest weakness?
Well, I have to be honest here. My biggest weakness is that I'm a bit too quiet sometimes. Because I'm an introvert, I don't always speak up when I should. For example, in meetings at work, I have good ideas, but I sometimes keep them in my head. I worry too much about what people will think. Later, I see someone else share a similar idea and get praised, and I think, that could have been me. So I'm working on being more confident and speaking up.
Confidence. That's something so many people struggle with. How are you working on becoming more confident?
Good question. Step by step, honestly. I started small. In meetings, I made a rule for myself. Say at least one thing every time, even if it's small. At first, my heart was beating fast, but it got easier. Now I speak more naturally. I also remind myself that my ideas have value, and that the worst thing that can happen is someone disagrees, and that's okay. Confidence is like a muscle, you know? The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I really like that. Confidence is like a muscle. Do you think people are born confident, or can anyone learn it?
That's a great question, and I really believe anyone can learn it. Some people are naturally more confident, sure, but I've seen shy people become very confident over time. I was quite shy as a teenager. I hated speaking in front of the class. My hands would shake. But over the years, with practice, I changed. So I don't think confidence is something you're simply born with. It's something you build slowly through experience, mistakes, and small wins along the way.
That's so encouraging for our listeners. Now, let's switch gears a little. We talked about patience. What about the opposite? Do you ever get angry?
Of course. I'm human after all. Everyone gets angry sometimes. But I don't get angry easily. And when I do, I try not to show it in a bad way. I don't shout or say cruel things. Instead, I usually go quiet. I need a few minutes alone to cool down. After that, I can talk about the problem calmly. I think the trick is not to make a big decision or say something when you're angry, because you might regret it later.
That's wise. So when you feel angry, what exactly do you do in that moment to calm yourself?
Well, the first thing I do is take a deep breath. It sounds simple, but it really works. Then, if I can, I walk away from the situation for a short time. For example, if I have an argument with a friend, I'll say, let's talk about this later. Then I go for a short walk or drink some water. Movement and a little distance really help me. When I come back, I feel calmer and I can listen properly instead of just reacting with emotion.
Walking away sounds simple, but it's actually quite mature. A lot of people just react immediately.
Yeah, and I used to be like that too, to be honest. When I was younger, I would react straight away and say things I didn't mean. Then I'd feel terrible afterwards. I learned the hard way that words can hurt people, and you can't take them back. So now I give myself a pause. My grandmother used to say, think twice, speak once. I didn't understand it as a kid, but now I think it's some of the best advice I've ever received.
Your grandmother sounds very wise. Let's talk about empathy now. Do you consider yourself an empathetic person?
Yes, I think I am, and I really value empathy. For me, empathy means trying to understand how another person feels, even if I haven't been in their exact situation. I'm a good listener, so friends often come to me with their problems. I don't always have the answer, but I try to listen without judging. Sometimes people don't want advice. They just want someone to understand them. I think being able to feel what others feel is one of the most important human qualities.
I completely agree. Can you give an example of a time when your empathy helped someone?
Sure. A close friend of mine lost his job last year. He was really down, and he felt like a failure. A lot of people told him, don't worry, just find a new job. But I could see he wasn't ready for advice. He just needed support. So I called him often, I listened, and I let him talk about his feelings. I didn't push him. After a few weeks, he felt stronger, and eventually he found a better job. He told me my support meant a lot to him.
That's really touching. Do you think empathy can ever be a weakness, though?
That's a really interesting question. Yes, actually, I think it can be. Sometimes I feel other people's emotions too strongly. If a friend is sad, I become sad too, and I carry their problems with me. It can be emotionally tiring. I've learned that I need to care for people, but also protect my own energy. You can't help others if you're completely empty yourself. So empathy is a strength, but you have to balance it. It's like being a cup. You can't pour from an empty one.
You can't pour from an empty cup. That's a great phrase. Now I'd like to talk about discipline. Are you a disciplined person?
Well, I'd say I'm fairly disciplined, but not perfectly. I'm good at routines. For example, I wake up early every day, I exercise 3 times a week, and I try to eat healthily. Once I make a habit, I usually stick to it. But I'm not a robot. Sometimes I'm lazy, especially on cold mornings when my bed feels too comfortable. The difference is I don't let one lazy day turn into a lazy week. I get back on track quickly, and I think that's the real key to discipline.
That's a healthy attitude. So discipline for you is not about being perfect. It's about getting back on track.
Exactly. You understood me perfectly. A lot of people think discipline means never failing, never being lazy, never making mistakes. But that's not realistic. We're all human. For me, discipline is about consistency over a long time, not perfection in one day. If I miss a workout, I don't feel guilty and give up. I just say, okay, tomorrow I'll do better. Small steps, repeated again and again, that's how big things get done. Slow and steady really does win the race.
Beautifully said. Let's connect this to studying, because many of our listeners are students. How does your personality affect the way you study?
Good question. Because I'm an introvert, I study best alone, in a quiet place. Big study groups don't really work for me. I get distracted. I like to sit by myself, make a plan, and focus deeply. My patience also helps a lot, because learning a language, for example, takes a long time. You can't rush it. And my discipline helps me study a little every day, instead of cramming everything the night before an exam. So my personality shapes my whole study style, really.
That's a really useful point for IELTS learners. Do you have any study advice based on your own personality?
Yes, my main advice is know yourself first. Don't copy other people's study methods blindly. Some students learn best in groups, some alone. Some learn best in the morning, some at night. For me, mornings are gold. My brain is fresh, so I study the hardest things first thing in the day. If you understand your own personality, you can build a study plan that actually fits you. That's much more powerful than just following what everyone else is doing.
Excellent advice. Now let's move to work. How does your personality help you or sometimes challenge you at work?
Yes, my main advice is know yourself first. Don't copy other people's study methods blindly. Some students learn best in groups, some alone. Some learn best in the morning, some at night. For me, mornings are gold. My brain is fresh, so I study the hardest things first thing in the day. If you understand your own personality, you can build a study plan that actually fits you. That's much more powerful than just following what everyone else is doing.
That's honest. Do you think certain personalities are better for certain jobs?
That's an interesting one. I think every personality can succeed, but some jobs fit certain people better. For example, an outgoing, talkative person might love being a salesperson or a TV host. A calm, careful person might be great as an accountant, a doctor, or a researcher. But it's not a strict rule. I know quiet people who are amazing leaders, and loud people who are wonderful listeners. What matters most is using your natural strengths and working on your weak areas, whatever job you choose.
I agree. There are no strict rules. Let's talk about decision making. Are you someone who decides quickly or do you take your time?
Honestly, I take my time. I'm a thinker. Before I make a big decision, I like to look at all the options and think about the consequences. For small things, like what to eat, I decide fast. Who cares, right? But for important things like changing jobs or moving to a new city, I think for days, even weeks. Sometimes my friends say I think too much. But I'd rather make a careful choice than a fast mistake. That's just how my mind works.
That's interesting. But do you ever think that taking too long can be a problem?
Yes, absolutely. And you've caught my weak spot there. Sometimes I think so much that I miss the chance completely. This is called overthinking, and it's a real problem for careful people like me. For example, once I wanted to apply for a great job, but I kept thinking, am I good enough? Is the timing right? By the time I decided, the position was already filled. I learned a hard lesson that day. Sometimes a good decision now is better than a perfect decision too late.
Oh, that's such a relatable mistake. So, how do you balance thinking carefully with not overthinking?
Well, I've started giving myself deadlines. I tell myself, okay, you have 2 days to decide and then you must act. That stops me from thinking forever. I also try to trust my gut feeling more. Usually deep down, I already know the answer. I'm just scared to choose. So now I listen to that inner voice a bit more. It's a balance. Think carefully, but don't let fear keep you stuck. Action beats perfection most of the time.
That's a great strategy. Let's talk about relationships now. How does your personality affect your friendships?
Well, because I'm calm and a good listener, I think I'm a loyal and reliable friend. I don't have a huge number of friends, but the ones I have are very close. I prefer quality over quantity. I'd rather have 3 real friends than 30 people I barely know. My friends know they can trust me with anything, and I'll always be there in hard times. But because I'm quiet, I'm not always the one who plans the parties. I'm more the supporter than the organizer.
Quality over quantity. That's a nice way to look at friendship. Do you find it easy to make new friends?
Honestly, not always. As an introvert, making the first move is a little hard for me. I don't easily walk up to strangers and start chatting. It takes me time to open up. But once I become comfortable with someone, I'm very warm and open. So my friendships grow slowly, but they grow deep and strong. I think of it like planting a tree. It takes time at the start, but later it becomes solid and lasts for many, many years.
That's a lovely image. What about close relationships, like with family or a partner? How does personality matter there?
Oh, personality matters a lot in close relationships. In my family, I'm the calm one, so I often help solve arguments between others. I'm like the peacekeeper. In a romantic relationship, I think my patience and empathy are really helpful because I try to understand my partner's feelings. But my quietness can cause problems too. Sometimes I keep my feelings inside instead of talking about them. I've learned that in close relationships, you have to communicate openly, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable.
That's a really mature insight. Do you think 2 people with very different personalities can have a good relationship?
Yes, definitely. In fact, I think differences can be a good thing. You know the saying, opposites attract? Sometimes a quiet person and a talkative person balance each other perfectly. One brings calm, the other brings energy. The important thing is respect and understanding. Problems start when people try to change each other instead of accepting each other. My closest friend is the total opposite of me. He's loud and spontaneous, but we get along great because we respect our differences and we even learn from them.
Oh, that's so true. Now, here's a deeper question. Do you think people can change their personality? Or do we stay the same our whole lives?
Let me think. I believe we can change, but slowly and not completely. Our core stays similar. I'll probably always be a calm, quiet person at heart, but I've changed a lot in other ways.
I'm more confident than I was 10 years ago. I speak up more. I handle stress better. So I think the basic foundation stays the same, but we can definitely grow and improve. Life experiences shape us. We're not stuck. We're more like clay that slowly takes a better shape over time.
Like clay that takes a better shape? I love your comparisons today. What do you think changes a person the most?
That's a great question. I think difficult experiences change us the most. The hard times, the failures, the losses, those teach us the deepest lessons. When I lost my first job, I was upset, but it made me stronger and more humble. Travel changes people too. When you see different cultures and ways of life, your mind opens up. And of course, the people around you shape you. If you spend time with kind, positive people, you slowly become more like them. We become who we surround ourselves with.
That's such an important idea. The people around us. Do you choose your friends based on personality?
Yes, I think we all do, even if we don't realize it. I'm drawn to people who are kind, honest, and positive. I don't like negativity or people who complain all the time because that energy affects me. I also like people who make me laugh, since I'm quite serious sometimes and I need that balance. But the most important thing for me is honesty. I can forgive many things, but if someone lies to me, it's very hard for me to trust them again. Trust is everything.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's think about IELTS specifically. If a student gets a question about personality in the speaking test, what advice would you give?
Good question. This is really practical. My main advice is use real examples, just like we've been doing today. Don't just say, I am patient. Instead, say, I am patient, for example, when I taught my brother to drive. Examples make your answer interesting and natural. Also, don't try to use big, fancy words you don't know. Speak clearly and naturally. The examiner wants to hear real, fluent English, not a memorized speech. Just relax and talk like you're chatting with a friend.
That's brilliant advice. And what about vocabulary? Are there useful words for describing personality?
Yes, there are lots of useful words, and they're not difficult. You can say someone is friendly, honest, hardworking, patient, confident, or kind. For negative traits, you can say shy, stubborn, impatient, or lazy. You can also use nice phrases like down to earth, which means simple and modest, or easygoing, which means relaxed and calm. The trick is to learn a few good words really well and use them naturally, instead of memorizing a long list you'll forget under pressure.
Those are great examples. Can you make a sentence using easygoing and down to earth?
Sure, let me try. My best friend is very easygoing, so he never gets stressed about small problems. And for the other one, even though she's very successful, she's really down to earth and treats everyone with respect. See? These phrases sound natural and they show good English without being too complicated. I'd encourage every learner to keep a small notebook of phrases like these. Write the phrase, write a sentence, and use it in real conversation. That's how words really stick.
Perfect examples. Let's talk about social situations for a moment. How do you behave at a big party where you don't know many people?
Honestly, that's not my favorite situation. At a big party with strangers, I feel a bit uncomfortable at first. I usually find one or two people and have a deeper chat with them, instead of trying to talk to everyone. I'm not the person dancing in the middle of the room. But I'm friendly, so once someone starts a conversation with me, I relax and enjoy it more.
And what about a small gathering with close friends? Are you different there?
Completely different, yes. With close friends, I'm the real me. Relaxed, funny, talkative, even a bit loud sometimes. I tell jokes, I share stories, and I feel totally comfortable. So my behavior really changes depending on the people around me. With strangers, I'm quiet, but with my close friends, I open up. I think many introverts are like that, actually. We're not shy. We just save our energy for the people who really matter to us.
That's a really clear difference. How do you behave when you're under pressure or stress?
Well, under pressure, I become very quiet and focused. Some people get loud and panic, but I go the other way. I get calm on the outside, even if I'm nervous inside. For example, before a big presentation at work, I don't talk much. I just breathe, prepare, and focus. After it's finished, then I relax and chat with everyone. So pressure makes me turn inward. It's like I save all my energy to deal with the challenge in front of me.
That's a useful skill. Now, do you think your personality has changed because of your culture or your family?
Oh, definitely. I think family shapes us more than almost anything. I grew up in a calm, quiet home where people didn't shout. My parents always solved problems by talking calmly, so I learned to do the same. Culture matters too. In some cultures, people are very expressive and loud, and that's completely normal and lovely. In mine, people are a bit more reserved. So a lot of my personality comes from how and where I grew up, without me even noticing it.
That's a great point about family. Are you similar to your parents in personality?
Yes and no. I'm calm and patient like my father. He never raises his voice, even today. But I'm also curious and a bit adventurous like my mother, who loves trying new things and meeting new people. So I'm a mix of both of them, which is interesting. I think we all carry pieces of our parents inside us. Some pieces we keep and some we try to change. I've kept the calmness, but I've worked hard to become more confident than they were.
That's lovely. A mix of both. Let me ask you something fun. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be?
Let me think. I'd probably make myself a little more spontaneous. I plan everything. Sometimes I wish I could just say yes to an adventure without thinking about it for hours. My spontaneous friends have the most fun, honestly. They book a last-minute trip or try a new hobby with no planning at all. I admire that. So if I had a magic button, I'd add a little more go with the flow to my personality, while keeping my calmness too.
That's a fun answer. And is there anything you would never want to change?
Yes, I would never want to lose my empathy or my kindness. Those are the parts of me I value the most. I'd rather be a kind person than a successful one, honestly. Money and success come and go, but the way you treat people stays in their hearts forever. So even if I become more confident or more spontaneous one day, I always want to keep my caring heart. That's the part of my personality I'm most proud of.
That's beautiful. Now, let's reflect a little more deeply. Do you think it's important to understand your own personality?
Yes, I think it's really important. Maybe one of the most important things in life. When you understand yourself, you make better choices. You choose the right job, the right friends, the right way to study. You also feel less stressed because you stop trying to be someone you're not. For years, I tried to be more outgoing because I thought it was better. But when I accepted that I'm an introvert, I felt free. Knowing yourself is like having a map for your own life.
A map for your own life. What a powerful way to say it. So, you think self-acceptance is part of happiness?
Absolutely. I really do. I think a lot of unhappiness comes from comparing ourselves to others and wishing we were different. Social media makes this worse, honestly. We see other people and think, why am I not like them? But everyone is different, and that's a good thing. Imagine if we were all the same. How boring would the world be? When I learned to accept my own personality, with all my strengths and weaknesses, I became much happier and much more peaceful inside.
That's a wonderful message. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to someone who wants to improve their personality?
Well, first, don't try to become a completely different person. Just become a better version of yourself. Find one small weakness and work on it slowly. For me, it was confidence, so I practice speaking up a little every day. Second, surround yourself with good people because they lift you up. And third, be patient with yourself. Change takes time. You won't become a new person in a week, but in a year, you'll look back and be amazed at how much you've grown.
That's really inspiring. One more quick question. Do you think our strengths and weaknesses are sometimes connected?
Yes, that's a great point, and I really believe they are. Often, a strength and a weakness are like two sides of the same coin. For example, my carefulness makes me wise, but it also makes me overthink. My quietness makes me a good listener, but it also makes me too silent sometimes. So instead of hating my weaknesses, I try to understand them. They usually come from the same place as my best qualities. That idea really changed how I see myself.
Two sides of the same coin. I love that. So accepting the whole package is the key.
Exactly. You can't only take the good parts and throw away the rest. We come as a complete package. When you accept all of yourself, even the difficult bits, life becomes lighter. You stop fighting yourself. You start working with your personality instead of against it. And honestly, that's when real growth begins. We spend so much energy wishing we were different, when we could use that same energy to simply become a better version of who we already are.
That's really inspiring, Jake. Is there one final thought you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Yes. I'd just say this. Your personality is not a problem to fix. It's a gift to understand. Every trait has a good side and a challenging side. Being quiet means I'm a good listener. Being careful means I make wise choices. So don't be afraid of who you are. Learn about yourself, accept yourself, and keep growing a little every day. And to all the IELTS learners out there, keep practicing your English, stay confident, and believe in yourself. You can do it. You can do it.
What a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much, Jake, for being such a thoughtful and honest guest today. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners did too.
Thank you, Emma. I really enjoyed this conversation. It made me reflect on myself, which is always a good thing. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone listening. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you all today.
And thank you to all of you for listening to Everyday English. I hope today's episode helped you learn new words, hear natural conversation, and maybe understand yourself a little better too. Try to describe your own personality in English this week. It's great practice. Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and take care of yourself. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care, and good luck with your English. See you next time.